My name's Patrick Foley, and this is my review of Mothers, Lovers and Others for UK Film Review. This film is an extremely graphic sort of ensemble relationship drama that follows the lives of a number of different individuals who all meet at the beginning of the film at an orgy. You have the couple Graham and Elijah, who attend as a partnership in which one of the couple are more eager to be there than the other. One is more into things like group sex than the other one of the pair. And much of the film explores the relationship whilst feelings of inadequacy, jealousy, sexual frustration arise between the pair who are trying to navigate a really difficult and emotional time in the relationship whilst also trying to balance each of their own sexual desires. You then have a shibari expert, August, who is a straight man but will offer sex work to people at the party. He is balancing his shibari sort of services that he offers at his own home whilst also housing his niece. And the lives of August, the lives of Graham, the lives of Elijah, as well as some other characters such as a school teacher who's the victim of harassment at the party, all converge and intertwine across quite a wide-ranging story. This film is, and probably should be said up front to anyone watching, extremely graphic. It has just full frontal nudity basically throughout the entire film for long extended periods. It has very graphic discussions of sex and sexuality. So any viewers who maybe it's not their thing probably should be aware of that well before they go into this one. I personally am no sort of prude when it comes to films and entertainment. It doesn't particularly bother me to have those sorts of sequences when they have a purpose and when they further a drama film such as this one. And whilst there are certain moments where the amount of nudity and the amount of sex does seem to be there to sort of titillate the viewer, I found it more gratuitous in a sort of a different way. It felt sometimes like the inclusion of the sheer amount of nudity felt almost like a bit of an artistic statement. It is quite a sort of warts and all look at sexuality. The characters aren't sort of overly sexualized, which sounds strange considering how much sex there is in this film, but it is quite a sort of human look at how sexuality works. And it does sort of strike me that no one watching this film is not going to understand that. I mean, it's very upfront about its aims and intentions. I can't imagine anyone who's come across it would be caught out by that. But there are definitely sequences where it feels like it's sort of just justifying itself to have its characters in stages of undress and in incredibly graphic sex scenes. I mean, this is stuff that is beyond the norm of what you would see in even sort of R-rated films. It's frankly borders into the sort of the pornographic at times, but is fundamentally a drama film. It is focused on its characters and its story more than anything. And I actually mean that. I know that's the classic get out of jail card for anyone who watches pornography, but this one does actually seem to be an attempt to make a film like that. And there are certain moments, particularly with the relationship of Graham and Elijah, the sort of main focus of the film, I would say, where the discussions you see between those two characters are really raw, really emotional, very, very well written, very authentic. You really get a sense that this is a long-term couple who have hit a bit of a wall in their relationship and don't really know which direction to take. Despite the very unconventional relationship, you do root for those two characters and really want them to make themselves find a way forward for their relationship. The other storylines through the film, which sort of relate to one character who works as a sex worker trying to navigate his own personal life with that as his background. Doesn't really capture the imagination quite the same way. It wants to bring in a whole wider discussion about cultural background and also a bit of a commentary on the sort of legality of sex work in our culture and how it's viewed. But to me, felt a bit aimless and a bit wandering. The story never really found its drive within the overall narrative of the film. The acting of most of the cast outside of the main sort of two protagonist roles also I felt was not quite up to par. It felt very daytime soap opera, sort of wooden in a lot of ways, which is a shame because I think to deliver some of the lines that come up throughout the film, you really need to have more of an energy behind them. There are a series of gags, for example, between a warring couple who are not in a good place and kind of on the rocks that sound like they came out of a sort of joke book, and suffer more because of the sort of lack of real bite in the delivery. I can say I've never really seen a film before like Mothers, Lovers and Others. It's definitely memorable, and the directors and the filmmakers really ought to be commended, I suppose, for the bravery in giving such a brutally realistic, warts and all look at sexuality. And whilst the sort of lack of artistry around this helps create a more authentic feel to the film, I also think it dampens the film's voice and kind of, after a while, makes it almost feel a bit gimmicky, frankly. It's at its strongest when exploring the unconventional human dynamics between attendees at this orgy lifestyle and how that kind of fragments into their own personal lives and causes relationship difficulties for people who maybe aren't approaching it the right way. I found those elements really, really interesting and actually quite moving, which is perhaps unexpected for a film like this. And I think it would have benefited really from a little bit more of that exploration and a little bit less of the kind of nudity for the sake of nudity, in my opinion.